Welcome, everyone. Today we are diving into a critical architectural crossroad for enterprise AI strategy, determining when to extend Microsoft 365 Copilot and when to build custom AI agents. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome to our strategic design session. As solution architects, you're at the forefront of AI transformation. Today, our main focus is a pivotal decision in your AI strategy, determining when to build custom agents or when to extend Microsoft 365 Copilot. Let's break down the bullet points on this slide. First, what is this strategy? It's a structured evaluation framework that matches your business use cases to the correct AI hosting model. Next, the basics and why AI is a strategic shift, not just a tech upgrade. If we don't align our architecture to business goals early on, we risk creating disjointed systems, increasing costs, and compromising data security through agent sprawl. How do we avoid this? By strictly evaluating our requirements against our two main avenues, utilizing what we already have in Microsoft 365, or developing bespoke logic in Copilot Studio or Azure AI Foundry. In our deep dive, we acknowledge that this choice impacts everything from your developers' daily tasks to your enterprise's overarching governance and data compliance posture. Let's look at the diagram to visualize this foundational split in our methodology. Looking at this flowchart, we start at the top with your overarching enterprise AI strategy. Every new AI request or business problem funnels into the central evaluation node. Here, you must ask, what is the core business need? If the requirement revolves around daily productivity, document summarization, and workflows contained entirely within Microsoft 365, the path routes to the left. Extend M365 Copilot. This path is characterized by a very fast time to value. However, if the business need demands complex, multi-step logic, integration with specialized external systems, or high operational autonomy, the flow routes to the right. Build custom agents. This path unlocks maximum customization and allows the agent to take actions autonomously across line of business systems. Understanding this initial fork in the road is the absolute foundation of your AI operating model. Everything we discuss in the following slides will help you confidently navigate this exact decision tree. Let's dive into our first primary path, extending Microsoft 365 Copilot. Referring to our first bullet, what this means is you are adapting the existing, pre-built Microsoft 365 Copilot to perform specialized business tasks without building a solution from the ground up. For the basics, you will typically use Agent Builder to package repeatable prompts and connect your internal Microsoft Graph data, essentially teaching Copilot new tricks. So, when should you choose this path? You should extend Copilot when its core capabilities like drafting, summarizing, and basic retrieval already accomplish 80 to 90% of the required work. The why is simple: ROI and adoption. This path significantly accelerates your time to value because it meets users where they already work directly inside Word, Teams, Excel, and Outlook. In our deep dive, the architectural beauty of this approach is that these extensions automatically inherit Microsoft's robust, built-in responsible AI guardrails. They respect all existing user permissions. If a user cannot access a SharePoint site natively, the extended Copilot agent cannot surface that data either. This architecture diagram visualizes the extend scenario. Notice how everything is contained within the secure boundary of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. On the left, we have the end user operating comfortably in familiar interfaces like Microsoft Teams or Word. Their requests flow directly into the central Microsoft 365 Copilot orchestrator. The orchestrator is the brain. It routes requests bidirectionally. It reaches into Microsoft Graph data represented by the database cylinder to securely retrieve organizational knowledge, emails, and files. Simultaneously, it accesses the custom prompts or plugins you have developed as extensions. Because the orchestrator natively handles the integration, your development overhead is minimized. The agent simply acts as a tailored lens over your existing enterprise data, securely delivering insights back to the user without ever leaving the Microsoft 365 compliance boundary. Moving to our second path, let's explore building custom AI agents. What is a custom agent? It is a standalone AI entity developed in Copilot Studio or Azure AI Foundry, designed to execute highly specialized business logic. The basics dictate that custom agents are necessary when your scenario requires complex, multi-step orchestration or interaction with external APIs outside the Microsoft ecosystem. When do we build instead of extend? We build when the standard Copilot workflows simply cannot handle the required domain-specific reasoning, or when the agent must operate autonomously without constant human prompting. How do we build them? Solution architects can leverage the low-code interface of Copilot Studio for rapid deployment, or the pro-code environments of Azure AI Foundry for massive scale and complexity. For the deep dive, building custom agents gives you absolute architectural control. You dictate the prompt engineering, govern exactly how tools are routed, design multi-agent collaboration patterns, and select the specific foundational models that run the workloads. Let's examine the custom agent architecture. Unlike the previous slide, this diagram shows an orchestrator that is entirely distinct from Microsoft 365. The central component is the custom agent orchestrator, which you configure and control. It pushes outward into three distinct areas. First, it connects to domain-specific logic, which allows the agent to reason over highly specialized business rules and directly access external databases like your ERP or third-party CRM systems. Second, it connects directly to external REST APIs, enabling the agent to take transactional actions across the broader internet or internal network. Third, it supports multi-agent workflows, meaning this agent can delegate tasks to other specialized subagents. This architectural pattern is highly extensible and powerful, but it places the responsibility of managing connections, maintaining state, and securing data flows squarely on the shoulders of your development and architecture teams. Now that we understand the two paths, how do we choose? We start by evaluating scope, complexity, and actions. What this means is rigorously assessing the workflow the AI must perform. The basics rule of thumb is, if the task is simple retrieval or summarization, extending M365 is best. If the task is a complex, multi-step workflow, you need a custom agent. Why is this assessment critical? Because matching the complexity of the task to the right platform prevents your team from over-engineering simple solutions or under-delivering on complex business needs. How do we evaluate this? Look at the required actions. If the agent only needs to draft emails or manage calendar events, extend Copilot. If it needs to update specialized external CRM records automatically, build a custom agent. In our deep dive, we look at extreme complexity. Highly complex scenarios might require multi-agent orchestration like the Agentic pattern, where a master agent dynamically routes tasks to specialized expert agents. This level of orchestration necessitates building custom solutions in Azure AI Foundry. This quadrant chart provides a visual decision matrix for scope and complexity. The x-axis represents the scope of the data and systems, moving from internal Microsoft 365 on the left to external enterprise systems on the right. The y-axis represents task complexity, moving from simple retrieval at the bottom to complex, autonomous orchestration at the top. In the bottom left quadrant, simple tasks within M365, like drafting emails, you should absolutely choose to extend M365 Copilot. As we move to the bottom right, simple tasks, but requiring external data, like basic CRM updates, you can extend via connectors. However, as you move into the upper quadrants requiring complex orchestration, you cross the threshold into building custom agents. For moderate complexity, low-code Copilot Studio is in quadrant 2. For the highest complexity and external scope, like a multi-agent supply chain system in quadrant 1, pro-code custom development in Microsoft Foundry is required. Data is the lifeblood of AI. Our next evaluation step focuses on data requirements and boundaries. What we are doing here is determining exactly where your grounding data resides and how the AI will access it. For the basics, remember that M365 Copilot extensions naturally leverage the Microsoft Graph. Custom agents, however, require you to build explicit data connections and retrieval pipelines. Why must we obsess over this? Because well-organized, cleanly structured data is the only way to prevent AI hallucinations and guarantee that the agent's responses are accurate and trustworthy. How do you decide? Evaluate the source. If your AI needs to synthesize Word docs and Teams chats, use the M365 Semantic Index by extending Copilot. If it needs to query proprietary SQL databases or external cloud storage, you need a custom agent architecture. For a deep dive, when building custom agents, solution architects can leverage the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. MCP creates a standardized, secure contract for agents to retrieve and reason over structured enterprise context from systems like Dynamics 365 Finance and Operations. Let's map out the data retrieval flow. An agent query is initiated on the left. The immediate architectural question is the data location. If the data lives within the Microsoft 365 tenants such as SharePoint sites, OneDrive files, or Exchange emails, the query routes upward to the Microsoft Graph Semantic Index. Because this index is already built and secured by Microsoft, the logical design choice is to extend M365 Copilot to leverage it seamlessly. Conversely, if the required data resides in external systems, the query routes downward. To access this data, you must implement the Model Context Protocol or build custom REST API integrations. Because you're bridging external systems into the AI reasoning engine, this data boundary dictates that you must build a custom agent to handle the bespoke retrieval and processing logic safely. Security cannot be an afterthought. Slide 6 addresses governance, security, and compliance. What this involves is setting up the guardrails, audit trails, and access controls that keep your enterprise safe. The basics form a stark contrast. Extending M365 Copilot automatically inherits your existing Microsoft 365 security posture. It requires no new privileges. Custom agents, however, require you to manually define and enforce governance policies. Why is this critical? Because rigorous governance prevents sensitive data leakage, ensures regional data residency compliance, and upholds Microsoft's responsible AI principles. How do we implement this? For extensions, you rely on Microsoft Purview sensitivity labels and existing data loss prevention rules. For custom agents, architects must actively design custom role-based access control and environment-level DLP policies. In our deep dive, remember that custom agents require comprehensive application lifecycle management, or ALM. You must build structured release pipelines to manage versions, conduct rigorous testing, and deploy models safely across dev, test, and production environments. This diagram contrasts the governance burden between the two strategies. From the top security and governance node, we split into our two paths. Following the path to M365 Copilot extensions on the left, we see a streamlined governance model. The extension inherently relies on M365 Purview and DLP, and crucially, it requires no new permissions to operate. If a user can't see a file, the agent can't either. Now, look at the custom AI agents path on the right. The governance burden increases significantly. You are now responsible for defining custom role-based access control. You must implement formal application lifecycle management pipelines to safely move the agent from development to production. Furthermore, you must establish custom data boundary auditing to monitor exactly what external data the agent is interacting with. Building custom gives you power, but demands rigorous architectural discipline. A brilliant architecture fails if the team cannot build it. Slide 7 focuses on skill level and operational maturity. What this means is honestly aligning your chosen AI strategy with the actual technical capabilities of your workforce. For the basics, remember that extending Copilot or using Copilot Studio offers a low-code, user-friendly experience. Conversely, building custom agents in Azure AI Foundry requires pro-code development and deep AI or ML engineering skills. Why must we assess this? Because if you choose a pro-code platform for a team lacking AI maturity, you will face stalled deployments, failing projects, and massive technical debt. How do you assess readiness? Evaluate if your developers are equipped to handle complex prompt engineering, strict ALM deployments, and continuous model monitoring. If not, stick to M365 extensions. In our deep dive, we note that supporting complex custom agents ultimately requires establishing an AI center of excellence. This COE is necessary to govern MLOps, establish standard telemetry, and drive continuous evaluation across the enterprise. This flow diagrams the relationship between team skill maturity and platform selection. On the left, we assess the team's capabilities. If your workforce primarily consists of business users with minimal coding experience, you should route them to extend M365 Copilot, resulting in the fastest enablement and lowest risk. If your organization has strong citizen developers who understand logic, but aren't writing Python or managing infrastructure, route them to Copilot Studio to build low-code custom agents, offering moderate customization. Finally, if you have dedicated pro-code developers, data scientists, and MLOps engineers, you can route them to Azure AI Foundry. This path unlocks maximum control and allows for the highest complexity, but it requires mature engineering practices to sustain it. Match the tool to the talent. We conclude with Slide 8, the Strategic Decision Framework. What we have built today is a definitive, step-by-step matrix to resolve the extend versus build dilemma. Recapping the basics, you extend M365 Copilot for internal productivity and document-centric workflows. You build custom agents when you face complex, autonomous, external, or multi-agent scenarios. Why do we formalize this? Because having a standard framework ensures a repeatable, defensible architectural process for every future AI request your business generates. How do you make the final call? You weigh the variables we discussed: domain complexity, data location, required autonomy, and your organization's cost tolerance. For our final deep dive, I want to leave you with the golden rule of Microsoft AI architecture. Apply the SaaS agent-first principle. Always attempt to validate a use case using the pre-built Microsoft 365 Copilot first. Only when that proves insufficient should you invest the time and capital into building custom agents. Let's walk through our final decision tree. Start at the top. Does the scenario align with Microsoft 365 apps? If no, for example, it's a standalone customer-facing website, you immediately go to Build Custom Agent. If yes, you ask the next question: are standard Copilot tools sufficient? If yes, the path is clear. Extend M365 Copilot. If the standard tools are not quite enough, you ask the final qualifying question: does the scenario require advanced autonomy, complex multi-step orchestration, or deep external API integrations? If yes, you must build custom agent to handle that complexity. If no, you stay the course and extend M365 Copilot. This logic gate guarantees you balance innovation with efficiency, ensuring your AI strategy is both powerful and practical. Thank you for joining this session.